Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtutara Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Nashtaprayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishne swadamopagate dharmagyana dibisaha kalo nashtadrisham esha puranarko dunodita sarva vedanta saram hi shri bhagavatam ishyate tatra samrita triptasya anyatra shadrati kvachit paramananda pataya premavashaksharayate sarvada sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya namostume sada sevya Srimad Bhagavati Katha Yasya Shravana Matrena Harishchittam Samashrayet. Hare Krishna. So we're here, another morning, another day with the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. This is Canto 10, Chapter 23, and we're doing verse 34 and 35. Yeah. No, 35. Yeah, 34 and 35. That's what we're doing. Enjoy. Thank you. Shri Shukuvacha. Is this 35 on the board or 34? 35. Good. So I'll just read 34 and then we can do 35 together. Shri Shukuvacha ityukta dvijapatnyasta yagyavatam punargata te chana suyavastavi shtrivi satram aparayan. Translation. Srila Shukadev Goswami said, thus instructed, the wives of the Brahmanas returned to the place of sacrifice. The Brahmanas did not find any fault with their wives, and together with them they finished the sacrifice. Purport. The wives of the Brahmanas obeyed Lord Krishna's order and returned to the sacrificial arena of their husbands, whereas the gopis, although ordered by Krishna to go home, remained in the forest to dance with him through the full moon night. Both the gopis and the Brahmanas' wives achieved pure love of Godhead. And text 35 we can do responsively. Tatraika vidrita bharta. Tatraika vidrita bhartra. Bhagavantam yata shrutam. Hridopaguya vijaho. Deham karma nubandhanam. Tatraika vidhrita bhartra. Bhagavantam yata shrutam. Hridopaguya vijaho. Deham karma nubandhanam. Please chant. Taika vidrita bhartra. Bhagavantam yata shrutam. Would you like to give it a shot? Are you okay? And the word for word, tatra, there. Eka, one of them. Vidrita, held back by force. Bhartra, by her husband. Bhagavantam, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Yata shrutam, as she heard about him from the others. Hrida, within her heart. Upaguhya, embracing. Vijahau, she gave up. Deham, her material body. Karma anubandhanam, which is simply the basis of bondage to material activity. In the translation, one of the ladies had been forcibly kept back by her husband. When she heard the others describe the Supreme Lord Krishna, she embraced him within her heart and gave up her material body, the basis of bondage to material activity. And the purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The lady described here was especially devoted to Lord Krishna. Upon giving up her material body, she immediately attained a spiritual body and left the sacrificial arena to join the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauda Tvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheena Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna. Quite intimate today. I said quite intimate today. You and I and the deities and Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Well, they'll bang. It's cold enough outside that if they're out, they'll let us know. So I'll just read back the two translations. Srila Shukadev Goswami said, "Thus instructed, the wives of the Brahmanas returned to the place of sacrifice. The Brahmanas did not find any fault with their wives, and together with them they finished the sacrifice. One of the ladies had been forcibly kept back by her husband. When she heard the others describe the Supreme Lord Krishna, she embraced him within her heart and gave up her material body, the basis of bondage to material activity." So, we're going deeper and deeper into this wonderful, wonderful 10th canto. In this particular instance, with these two verses, we see Krishna showing a very important lesson, teaching a very important lesson to his devotees. And the best way I think I can sum up that lesson is with the sentence, "Taking shelter of Krishna removes all the obstacles in one's life." Hare Krishna, Mother Krishna, Arjuna. And because Krishna, he's sending these ladies back. And one of their arguments was, we can't go back because we've, in front of all of our family, in front of our husbands, in front of our brothers, in front of their brothers, in front of our uncles, in front of everybody, our entire village, we ran off, we left the sacrifice, we forsake our husbands, we gave up our husbands, and we ran to you, and we have no shelter now. They said, if we go back, we may be killed, we may be beaten, they may not let us back into the village, we have nowhere to go. You please give me shelter, give us shelter. Don't be like this. They said, oh, how exactly did they say it? I won't remember it exactly. But they said, you fulfill the desires of your devotees. No, they quoted that when one achieves Krishna, the Vedas say that if one achieves Krishna, then they never come back to material life. So how can you send us back? This was their argument. But still, Krishna said, no, you have to go back. And Krishna gave them an assurance to counter their argument. He said, don't worry, your family will accept you. They won't even think about this blemish, so-called blemish on your character. And just to assure them, he said, I will go personally and speak to them. Don't worry, I will go apprise them of the situation and let them know that you are not to be taken lightly, you're not to be disregarded, you're not to be cast out. And so they went back. They trusted Krishna, and they went back. And this verse is saying that they went back and it was as if nothing had happened. They performed the sacrifices with their husbands, and the sacrifices were okay. They worked. Their husbands didn't judge them in any way. Their family didn't judge them in any way. And so Krishna is showing that even in the face of great adversity, in the face of the craziest of circumstances, in the face of whatever may go on in one's life, if one is taking shelter of Krishna and then also following the current of Krishna's desire, because that's very important, as we hear from Rupa Goswami, he says that the definition of pure devotional service, the essence of that is anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. We should do bhakti in such a way that it is favorable to what Krishna wants. And so that means doing things that Krishna likes, but also being in touch with understanding how Krishna would like us to move forward in our life. And generally, this is going to come through the medium of the guru. One's guru, because he's in touch with Krishna, because he's an associate of Krishna in some way or other, he can be the intermediary, and he can speak on Krishna's behalf for us. Because we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna gives the Guru, and then Guru gives the Krishna. Guru gives Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. So, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, one receives this Bhakti Lata Bij. And so it's very important to be in touch with the will of Krishna. And so these ladies, they're showing their commitment to that, because even though it's the most difficult thing for them, it's the most painful thing that they can imagine at that point in their life, they do go home. Because that's the will of the Leela Shakti, that's the will of Krishna, because he wants the Leela to unfold more and more. They go back, and it's as if nothing happened. And Krishna, to fulfill some of his words to them, because in some ways he cheated them, and in some ways because he's not a cold-hearted cheater. His cheating is always meant to make things better. He said, "You will attain me very soon." But our acharyas say that this is kind of cheating because they have to take a new body. So it's not exactly that soon that they'll attain that new body. But in this next verse, in the second verse that we've read, the verse that's on the board, we see that Krishna showed them that they should have faith in these words. Because when they got back, they met one Brahmin lady, one of the wives of the Brahmanas, who was not able to escape. She wasn't able to get away. It said, our acharyas say, that her husband grabbed her and tied her hands and tied her feet. And just, you can't go, you stay, you know? It's a heavy situation. And so when they came back, and they were so happy they had met Krishna, and they were describing him, they were sad because they were leaving him, but devotees, when they're sad, what do? They talk about Krishna, and then they're happy. It said that the gopis and Mother Yashoda and everybody who's back in Vraj, who's back in Nandagaon or in Gokul, whenever Krishna, not Gokul because Krishna doesn't herd cows in Gokul, he's still young, but when he's herding cows, everybody that's, all the ladies and all the people that are staying there and that aren't herding cows with Krishna, they're singing about Krishna. They're singing beautiful songs about Krishna's qualities. I've heard one from Gopal Champu that's very, very beautiful, that Mother Yashoda sings, Gokula patikula tilakam tamasiha. She's saying, oh Krishna, you are the tilak of Vraj. You are the tilak of Gokula. You are the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful ornament in this beautiful place of Gokul. You're the most beautiful ornament, and you actually make everything about it beautiful. Because in Vedic culture, tilak is the most beautiful thing. Actually, it's said that a face is a graveyard if it doesn't have tilak on it. I don't wear it all the time because I'm a rascal. But it's, as far as, you see this analogy a lot, and you see this literary decoration a lot. If something is very wonderful, it's compared to tilak. So Mother Yashoda, she's thinking about Krishna, particularly while she's churning butter, and she's saying, oh my Krishna, you're so beautiful. You are the tilak of Gokula. You're the tilak of Vraj. So that's what devotees do when they're separated from Krishna temporarily. Then they just sing about Krishna. So these Brahmins' wives, they came back and they were speaking about Krishna. And they met this one unfortunate, seemingly, apparently unfortunate lady who had been tied up and who hadn't been able to go to Krishna. And they spoke what they saw. They said, he was like this. And you won't believe it. He was so beautiful. It was more than anything we've ever heard, because they'd been hearing about Krishna. They'd been hearing he's like this and he does this thing and he's so naughty, and the rumors about how he is with certain devotees that he's with and what he does and how strong he's becoming and how he's so expert at everything he does and how he learned the flute without a teacher. One day he just picked up the flute and started playing it. How amazing this Krishna is. They had been hearing all of these things. And so he fully exceeded their expectations because they actually had an experience of him. And so they told this seemingly unfortunate lady, they said, he was like this. And she went into meditation and left her body. And she attained Krishna right there. So Krishna, he orchestrated this to show them that his words were actually true. That actually he was saying, you'll attain me very soon. And he showed, look, she attained me. You went back and immediately she attained me, and you can also attain me. If you develop these moods, if you develop this feeling, if you develop this lolyam, Ramananda Roy says, Tatra loyam api mulyam ekalam. The only thing, the only price you can pay is loyam. You have to have greed to attain a consciousness which is saturated with thoughts of Krishna. So Krishna says, by developing this loyam, by developing this lol, this greed, you can attain me practically instantaneously. But back to the original topic that I was saying, Krishna is showing that there are no obstacles in a devotee's life. Because for these ladies, it seemed like such an obstacle, and they were afraid if they went back, we may be killed. Our husbands are not going to react nicely. You can see they tied up and left on the ground the lady who didn't even get away. You can imagine what they were thinking. We hear from the Vraj Gopis when Krishna tells them to go home, or when they're trying to escape, that their husbands took sticks and, what are you doing? You can't leave. It's the middle of the night. So it's very heavy. They were afraid, but Krishna assured them, if you've taken shelter of me, there will be no problems. Everything is going to go fine. You don't have to worry about anything. I will personally intervene on your behalf. This is very sweet, what he said. And then even for the girl, the lady who couldn't get away, Krishna was there, in some sense even more so. Now, our acharyas, they say that we can't understand if this lady is more advanced than the other ladies. We can't draw that out of this pastime. It's just the circumstance and the particular mercy that was given was there in order to facilitate a particular lila. So basically what they're saying is they're more or less all on the same level. They're all the same level of exaltedness in their prema. They have the same level of exaltedness in their prema. But the point there is that Krishna, he takes care of his devotees no matter what situation they're in, if they take shelter of him. And he says this in the Bhagavad Gita. He tells Arjuna, Konteya pratijanihi, O Arjuna, you declare it. Na me bhakta pranashiti. My bhakta, my devotee, he's never destroyed. He never meets defeat. Devotees never meet defeat. Because Krishna is always orchestrating whatever is going on in their lives. He's always tinkering with everything to make a perfect situation. It's pretty amazing to think, and it's something that I personally could do well to meditate on more, that every second in my life, every aspect of my life, every moment that I go through, every circumstance that comes to me is a perfect opportunity to move closer to Krishna. And that's not just in the sense of perspective. It's literally in the sense that Krishna is orchestrating my life in that way. That I'm now under a different set of jurisdiction. I'm now not under the same set of jurisdiction that I was when I was just running through the impersonal system of karma, and the Paramatma is sitting in my heart and allowing me to do what I'd like to do and just waiting and just completely neutral. Bhaktas are under a different situation, and not just premi bhaktas, not just advanced devotees. The life of a devotee is different. It's different. So it's something that we have to meditate on, because we're not supposed to call ourselves Vaishnavas, but internally we're supposed to identify as devotees of Krishna. Akrura says, I am your devotee. Vidura in the 3rd canto, he says, please, O Maitreya, you speak to me. I'm a devotee. I want bhakti. You please speak to me. Tell me about Krishna. So we don't go and we don't run and say, yes, I'm a devotee at the podium. But we have to have an internal understanding that I'm a devotee of Krishna, and this is what I want. This is what matters to me in life. That's very important. And when we do that, and when we act in that way, and we act like that, and we carry forward on the basis of that abhiman, on the basis of that identification, then Krishna will intervene in our lives in more and more and more and more wonderful. And as we actually start to tap into that will and understand it and listen to it in more obvious ways. Now, this conception is quite clear from the statements of the Bhagavatam. There's one beautiful verse that we have gone through back in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, Lord Brahma's prayers, where he says this. It's a famous verse. Many people, Prabhupada quoted this quite often. This, Tate nukampam susumikshamano. The basis, the thrust of the verse is that a devotee who has taken shelter of Krishna and he's going through whatever adversities he has in his life, knowing that if he just does that, he will get what is his rightful claim, because he's a devotee, because he knows what he wants. He knows, I want to attain Krishna, that he's practically already gotten the mercy. And our acharyas, they comment very nicely on this verse, and also on we could say a sister verse that is in the 88th chapter of the 10th canto, which is very, very quite famous also for us in ISKCON. It's quite famous because this was Srila Prabhupada's sannyas verse. Yasyaham anugrinnami hadishe taddanam shanai. Krishna says, for the people who I favor, I take away everything. I make them so wretched that their family gives them up. That's pretty wretched. That your family says, okay, I just can't have anything to do with this person anymore. I give him up. So Krishna says this, and our acharyas in their extensive commentary on these two verses, one being about a devotee going through adversities and understanding this is the will of Krishna, and if I just hold steady and I try to understand the will of Krishna in this situation, I'm going to get the mercy, because Krishna ultimately wants to give mercy. My Lord is merciful. He's Dinabandhu. Okay, I want to identify as not a devotee. I want to identify as a fallen person. Okay, well, Krishna's Dinabandhu. And so we can call to him, we can say, Dinabandhu. Virachayamai dandam Dinabandhu dayamba. Oh, Krishna, you can punish me or you give me mercy, but I will not move an inch until I get your mercy. You punish me over and over and over and over. Send me punishment after punishment after punishment. That's okay. But you're Dinabandhu. I'm fallen. You please, I'm just going to wait for your mercy. Because it's very important that we have this identification. It's very important that we understand this. Back to these two verses. In the commentary that our acharyas give, they explain this very, 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 very clearly. That this is not just for premi bhaktas. They say even for practicing devotees, even for sadhakas, it's very important to understand the tattva. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that a devotee acts in this way because he knows the tattva, which is that Krishna is the one who's orchestrating whatever adversity he's going through in his life. There are two things that cause adversities in a devotee's life. One is aparad, offenses, and the other one is Krishna's direct will. So one may be that one is offensive, which is still ultimately a punishment that's coming from Krishna or coming from the Bhakti Shakti, because it's not done by Mahamaya, it's not done by the impersonal system of karma. It's a specific punishment that is meant to rectify the devotee so he can actually chant without offenses, so he can rectify his offensive nature. Or there is the direct mercy of Krishna, which looks like adversity, but is actually Krishna pushing the devotee closer to him. We see this with Srila Prabhupada. His family would not get on board with the program. They didn't like being devotees, really. They just, his wife especially was kind of, I can't think of the word, not sarcastic, but she was, anyway, she didn't like it. And so one day she traded his Bhagavatam for tea biscuits. Because in India you could go, and there was a system where if you wanted something, and if the things were of similar value, you could put it on a scale, and you could get the other thing that you wanted in weight. So she took his Bhagavatam, and she traded it away in weight for tea biscuits. And Prabhupada said, I'm done. I'm taking Vanaprastha. It's too much, you know? Because he never pushed them either. He didn't say, you have to be devotees. He understood. He was a very cultured person, and he knew how to be a grihasta in such a way. But even being very accommodating, being fine, never really pushing them, they just didn't like it so much. So this was Krishna's great mercy. One of his godbrothers told him, Krishna's doing a great mercy to you by not allowing you to become attached to this. Also with Prabhupada's business failures. Prabhupada failed a lot in business. He would do very well in the pharmacy industry, and then everything would fall apart. And then he would build it back up, and it would fall down. And he was wondering, why isn't it working? Why won't it work? This is Acharya Leela. Prabhupada's a Nitya Siddha devotee, but this is there. It's in the Lilamrita. This is Prabhupada's story. We can learn from the story that Krishna, he designs the adversities in one's life so that they'll move closer to him. These things weren't happening because Prabhupada was committing aparats, because Prabhupada's a pure devotee. So we can take them as examples of the other thing, that things weren't working out for Prabhupada because Krishna had a different plan. And when he aligned his vision with that plan, again, disclaimer, it's Prabhupada. His vision was always aligned with the plan. He was guided by Yogamaya at every step. But still we can learn from that particular Leela. When he aligned his vision with the will of Krishna, we see what happened. He boarded the Jaladuta and he said, "You make me dance. I don't know why you've brought me here. I don't know why you've put me on this ship. I've already had a heart attack on the ship. I'm such an old man. I'm going to an unfamiliar place." Prabhupada thought he was going to have to eat oats and potatoes. He thought there were no vegetables in the Western countries. That's what he heard from India, that they eat so much meat that you're not going to be able to get vegetables there. So he brought his own grains because he didn't know what he was going to... He knew, okay, they'll probably have potatoes, but that's it. He actually brought a store of grains because he didn't know what he would be able to eat when he went to America. That was the level of surrender Prabhupada had. Because devotees, they understand this tattva, that Krishna is orchestrating whatever's going on in my life, as per this tate nukampam sushamikshamano. And therefore they don't really mind what happens to them. Narayana parasarve nakutaschana bibyati swarga pavarga paresh. Swarga, pavarga, narakesh, vapitoyarta darshana. They don't really care. They look at heaven, hell, this world. When they weigh it, tulya, when you compare them all, I don't really mind. They just want to be Krishna's devotees in whatever situation that they're in. So, again, the point here is to bring this more to the practical level. If we can take steps towards that in our own lives, if I can take a step towards that in my own life, Krishna reciprocates with that. Actually, the point is that he's already reciprocating with it. It's more a matter of one's consciousness. It's more a matter of my own understanding of how my life is going and just trying to see what Krishna is already doing in my life. Because he's already doing this. He's already organizing wonderful circumstances for me to move forward in my Krishna consciousness. It's just my consciousness is so clouded by my own preconceptions that I'm generally running the other way. I'm looking at it like, no, why is that happening? It's so bad and terrible, and no, of all the things that could happen, this thing happened. And then if I reject it and fight it, I'm fighting Krishna's will. And then that stops one from advancing. But it's not Krishna stopping you from advancing. It's not your karma stopping you from advancing. It's just literally a matter of your perception. Actually, that's what Maya means. Maya means to measure. Maya is an imposition on our consciousness that tricks us into thinking that I'm the one who's the ultimate doer, I'm the controller of everything, I'll make things happen. So really, the process of getting away from ahankar for a bhakta is just understanding that Krishna is sending me situations and it's my job to just become receptive. It's my job just to look, for one, to have faith that that's how it works. First we have to know the system. If we don't know the system, then we can't use the system. How will the system work if we don't know it? Because we'll run in the opposite direction. But after we know the system, our job is just to, okay, now I know the system intellectually, let me try to apply it. And then when something happens in my life, just try to see, what could Krishna possibly be telling me with this particular situation? And then obviously consult Guru, consult Shiksha Gurus, consult the Vaishnavas around you. Because Krishna is going to operate through those mediums very strongly, because those are the mediums that he has given. His Kripa Shakti is in his devotees. And so he's going to act through those mediums, but he'll also act personally in one's life. Because ultimately, if one is practicing bhakti, then he's bound to do that. Because one's guru wants him to do that, and one's guru is a dear devotee. We sing the song every morning, this Guruvashtakam. We hear about who Gurudev is, and what Gurudev is, and what it means that someone is a guru. And we understand that if someone is a deep devotee of Krishna, that Krishna does what they want. Sri Krishna Akarshani. So one's guru is praying, Krishna, you please accept this person. It's not a matter of my qualification. It's not a matter of me saying, no, I'm too fallen for Krishna to act in my life. Because if we've gone far enough to take shelter of somebody who is a deep devotee of Krishna, which I think for each individual person, they all can at least admit my Gurudev must be a deep devotee of Krishna. We don't have to speak about each other's gurus, but for internally, one has to admit my Gurudev must be a deep devotee of Krishna. Therefore, he's praying to Krishna, you please accept him or her. And so therefore, Krishna is acting in one's life. We can't get around it. It's the tattva. This is the way it works. It's the way it works for devotees. So when one does this, there are no obstacles in one's life. The Brahmins' wives, they're showing this because they took Krishna's word. They're fortunate enough to have Krishna stand in front of them and tell them to do something. We have to hear things in a little more of an indirect way through the circumstances in our life. But still, they're illustrating that by following Krishna's will, even though it seems like it's illogical, because they ran away from their homes. They left. They were facing getting beaten or just rejected. But they trusted. Krishna said, no problem. Don't worry. You just go back, everything will be normal. And Krishna said, you'll attain me very quickly. And then they got this wonderful, beautiful example. We can only imagine what that experience was like. Seeing this lady go into meditation and then leave her body and attain Krishna. Because they all must have known that that's what just transpired. We've heard stories of contemporary Vaishnavas hearing Krishna Katha or the wonderful circumstances in which they left their bodies. So we can imagine what this Vaishnavi leaving her body and attaining Krishna because she was wrapped in samadhi. We can imagine what that experience was and how amazingly inspiring it was for the other ladies who had just met Krishna, who already had prema. We can only imagine. So just to reiterate the point one more time, and then I'll open for questions, comments, or corrections. It's very important that we understand that Krishna is the one who is orchestrating everything in our lives, whether they be adversities or whether they be good things, whatever it is. Actually, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, and then purported by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, explains of the three possibilities, of the two things, there are three possibilities, of good things and of bad things, vipad and sampad, adversity and fortune. There are three possibilities. One, any good thing that comes into any devotee's life is the mercy of Bhakti Devi, regardless of what it is. That one's easy. Two, I explained earlier, it's either aparad or it's Krishna's will. There is no other force in a devotee's life. It's not karma. It's not maya with some impersonal system where we're being, basically karma. I'm just giving a definition of karma. It's a different system altogether. This is what's explained by our acharyas. So I'll leave you with one verse, and that's Vipada naiva vipado, sampado naiva sampada, vipad vismaranam vishno, sampanarayana smriti. Adversity, vipad, na eva vipad. It's not adversity. Sampado, naiva sampada. Sampad, fortune, na eva sampad. It's not good fortune. Real adversity, vipad vismaranam vishno, is to forget Krishna, is to not think about Krishna for even a moment. Vismaranam, to not think about Krishna. Sampan narayana smriti. And real fortune is to think about Krishna. This is a Vaishnav's definition of fortune and adversity. So, hopefully this has been useful, and please forgive me for any faults. If there's anything nice here, then it's my Gurudev's, not mine. Oh, Krishna.
That's too loud. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your class. Wonderful class again. You were quoting two verses, Narayana Pada Sare, etc., and Tate Anukampam. And the reason I appreciate you were mentioning those verses and you were talking about our karma, our adversity, is that we see one obstacle we face based on the teachings of the scriptures, and we can practically see in our life. One obstacle we face is that when you're quoting this verse, Narayana Pada Sarve, and devotees don't care about heaven or hell, that immediately brought to mind one quote. It says, the mind can turn heaven into hell or hell into heaven. And we see this in the lives of many great fault finders like Dora Simoni. He gained the association of Ambarish, and he considered heaven hell. Same with so many pastimes. And this is one thing I keep in mind all the time, and also in the Nectar of Instruction, it says that when we're influenced by ignorance, we cannot taste. Just like if a person has jaundice, they cannot taste anything sweet. So when we're contaminated by the jaundice of pride, envy, vengeance, we cannot taste the holy name of the Lord, his paraphernalia, or even the devotees. So Buddha, he says a nice quote. He says, if a fool be associated with a wise man, even for all his life, he'll perceive the truth as little as the spoon perceives the taste of soup. If an intelligent man be associated with a wise man for 1 minute only, he'll perceive the truth as much as the tongue perceives the taste of soup. So that's pretty much my comment, but if I was to ask a question, maybe you could share. If not, I already made my point. But what are some steps we could do to see everything in our life as a blessing or a miracle? Like Albert Einstein, he says, we can live as if nothing's a miracle, or we can live as if everything is a miracle. When we live at this, something's a miracle and something's not, we commit aparaz and we fault find. So actually, it's better to see everything as a miracle. So like you said, how can we see Krishna everywhere, as the Bhagavatam, the Brahma Samhita says, Primanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, etc. So anyways, you could share your points if you like, but if not, these are some points I appreciated from the scriptures.
Jai, I don't know how to see Krishna everywhere, but reading the Bhagavatam is a good place to start, I've found. I'd like to at least see Krishna here, and then maybe I can work on seeing him elsewhere. And in my own life, as I've tried to see Krishna here, then I credit that with whatever periods that I've been able to actually see Krishna elsewhere in circumstances in my life. I think for me, and for many sadhakas, many times circumstances are just there to teach us tolerance. Because to teach us tolerance, I can think of quite a few instances where it's quite obvious that I'm just being taught that you have to tolerate because you're not the controller and you don't get to dictate how people are or what a circumstance is or how people are going to be, because ultimately it's not up to me to decide who does what they do. So I think that's a really important thing that I can say I've had to come to. Other than that, I don't know if anyone has anything else. Jitendra Prabhu, Mother Krishna Archana. And then we can stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Kishore Kishore ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnav Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.